Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I have a comment that I received on a video I think earlier today, and this amazingly appears to be a trend because I was talking to a coaching client the other day, and we were hitting this exact same topic. And this comment comes from Chris. And Chris, I'm going to break your thing down. What I'm going to do is I'll just read through it real quick, and then I'm going to break it down and break it down in a section. It says, "Hi, I've reached out to you a couple times. You made a video for me in October of 2019 called Jealous of the Narcissist's New Partner, I believe it was. And then I spoke to you in a live stream over the phone talking about my relationship, and it helped. But now I find myself recently feeling sad and without purpose and alone. I've improved my work and got into a new career and increased my pay a lot, and I live on my own. But I sometimes feel so sad how my ex life seems to soar, and she has a big Brady Bunch family and lots of friends to turn to. But I've lost my grandmother, my dad, my mom, all after she left me. And when I've seen her with her new man, they went on so many vacations and outings, posting everything on Facebook. I made the mistake last year in the summer and seen them seen that they're still together a lot longer than me and her lasted. I wonder if the problem was just with me and the new guy could just provide more of a lifestyle or image to match better with her and her family." Okay, so I'm going to break this down. And the first thing I just want to say, Chris, dude, I feel for you, man. And I think one of the reoccurring things that people just don't understand with this is just how long this takes. Most people seem to think, and I think even we tend to think that this should fix itself faster. And unfortunately, the reality is it takes a lot more time than we would like. The other thing I want to say is that everyone's timeline is different. Some people might be able to heal and move on from this within a couple of months. Some people, it might be a year or two. It took me probably about 2 to 3 years to really start making some progress in this thing. And in a lot of ways, I had a lot of the similar issues that you were feeling, and I'll get into that in a minute. But and then others are going to take longer. It just really depends on your path and the amount of work that you ultimately put in on it, and what clicks and when it clicks, if that makes sense. Now, let me see. What I want to do here is I want to break this down. So I'm just going to basically go through each section. I kind of broke it down, and I'm going to just touch on this one. So it says, starting back, how do I find, hold on a second. I think I just messed this up. Okay. So talking, you reached out a couple of times. So, I mean, we're talking about something that's taking a long time. And the main thing you have to remember in this particular phase is you have to disconnect from the ex. When I talk about rebaselining your life, and when I talk about absolute thinking and black hole thinking, the reason I talk about this is because of what you're talking about, well, in the next sentence, but what you're talking about in the fact that this has taken so long. So let me move to the next thing. But now I found myself recently feeling sad and without purpose and alone. You've improved your work and got into a new career and you increased your pay. Dude, first, recognize your successes. This is impressive, and don't lose sight of that. And I know that it's not filling the niche or the hole that's in your heart right now, but at the same time, the fact that you've been able to succeed and promote and make more money is a good thing, and you need to recognize that and don't discount that. Because what I'll say is a lot of people who get caught up in this scenario or the situation, they're so emotionally devastated that they're going downhill instead of up. That doesn't sound right. I would say downhill instead of uphill. But what I mean is they're going in a route that is more destructive instead of constructive, and you're heading in the right direction. And this gets in, the next part of this is what I think is really where we can get into the meat of this. And it says, I sometimes feel so sad how my ex's life seems to soar and she has a big Brady Bunch family, lots of friends and everything, while your support group and your family is not there. And dude, I am sorry about your grandmother and your dad and your mom. That is rough. I mean, talk about mighty blow. I mean, you're going through the hardest thing in your life, and then, oh, by the way, let's just have you deal with a tremendous amount of loss. Here's the thing. If you didn't have your ex in your life, if that had never happened, what you're talking about, losing your grandmother, your dad, and your mom, all so you're basically since 2019, that would bring a lot of people down. So, you got to keep everything in context and remember, what I'm trying to say, remember that these external factors are going to play a big part in that. And then it just doesn't help whenever you're looking at your ex and you're seeing them having the greatest life ever, or so you think, and you feel like your life is spiraling out of control. So then you go on to say, and when I see her with her new man, and they are going on vacations and outings and posting everything on Facebook, then you made the mistake last year in the summer and seen them together still. So here's the thing. First thing, everybody watching this, and Chris, this goes for you too. Do not look at what the ex is doing. You have to stop. Defriend them on Facebook. Do whatever you have to do so that you don't see it, because all it's going to do is bring you down. With the only potential caveat is, you look and their life is a complete train wreck, and maybe it might make you feel better. But to be perfectly honest, that's horrible karma, and you need to be focusing more on your life and not their life. This is why rebaselining your life is so important, because you have to basically hit the reset button and say, I'm starting over. And, tomorrow is, you have to get to the point, and it took me a while, but I did get to this point where tomorrow went from being scary to being exciting. Like, what's going to happen tomorrow? I don't know. What is, the unknown for tomorrow turns back into an adventure of excitement and potential. Now, it could be scary. It could be great. It could be meh, but that unknown goes from being scary to something positive. And what I'll tell you, in my perspective, for the first 46 years of my life, up until, or 43, whenever my relationship exploded, the future scared the crap out of me. Tomorrow scared the crap out of me because I always felt like something was missing. Now I don't, if that makes sense. The other thing I want to say is black hole thinking is really critical, because you need to stop comparing your life to the ex. That's the other big problem with this. And I can relate to this. Mine didn't get in a new relationship, and she wasn't flaunting flaunting a new relationship and new stuff. Well, okay, she was flaunting new stuff for a while. But when I was looking at her life compared to my life, it brought all these memories back. It's not a healthy situation to be in. It takes a while to get to the point where you realize that you need to focus on your own life, not what the ex is doing. Now, I'm at the point now I could care less what the ex is doing. I honestly think that if I heard she won the lottery tomorrow, where 5 or 6 years, 7 years ago, that would have infuriated me to think that, she was, skipping along without a care in the world. Hold on a second. It would have drove me nuts. And I would have been in the same situation comparing her life to my life. I wish I was doing this. I wish I had that. I wish, that type of thing. You got to stop looking at what the ex is doing. And if you have some wonderful, horrible, I'm being sarcastic on the wonderful, not sarcastic, and the horrible friend who just thinks it's awesome to pull you aside and say, hey, did you hear what little Susie's doing? She's doing great. Her career is great. She bought a new house, and the Mercedes in the driveway is just so nice and shiny. And how is your 1-bedroom apartment doing? And did you get the roaches taken care of? Right? I mean, it's like, poking you right in the eye. It's absolutely counterproductive. And you got to be really, really careful of that. So let me come back over here. So I wonder if they go on to say, I wonder if the problem was just me and the new guy could just provide more of a lifestyle or an image to match better with her and her family. Dude, here's the thing. It doesn't matter, okay? I know that, and I get it. Because what Chris is talking about, I was worried about. I was convinced that my ex was going to find somebody, a better, faster, more successful model than me, land herself a doctor or some rich dude. And I would be sitting there looking at, them going to the Bahamas and, going out for, doing all the stuff I wanted to do. And on top of that, hitting me for more child support. Wouldn't be alimony anymore if they were together, but that's what I thought was going to happen. And I'll tell you that it doesn't matter. If she finds the best person for her, she wasn't the person for you. Okay. Your life was not on track with this person. My life was not on track with the person I was with. It was actually dragging me down. Now, there was a period of time where I could romanticize and I could go back and I could look at it and I could think that, but it was so great. It was, this and it was that, and it wasn't this and it wasn't that. It was not a good relationship. It was bad and it wasn't doing anything good for me. Now, and Chris, here's the thing, man. If you were feeling like everything was great, it obviously was an illusion and it wasn't true. It was false. It wasn't a legitimate relationship, and what you were thinking and feeling it was isn't what it was. Now, what Chris is talking about, and I'll talk with everyone else too on this for a second. I get this a lot from people who are looking at what their ex is doing. It's like, oh my God, they're in love. They're doing everything, great. I mean, it's her soulmate or they're his soulmate, whatever the case may be. And it doesn't matter. The reality is more than likely at the beginning of your relationship. Well, here's the thing. At the beginning of your relationship, if it was the same thing, if she was on social media, or I'll say if they were on social media talking about how this is the best person in the world, in other words, if they were painting the picture that you guys were outstanding at the beginning of the relationship, for a short period of time, then that's what they're doing now. And these people have a tendency to lather, rinse, and repeat. Now, maybe she's just picked somebody who can deal with the drama and the chaos better than you could. That's the other thing you guys got to remember is when you're dealing with somebody and they realize that they've lost the ability to control and manipulate you, the relationship typically ends instantaneously. Like it's like in that moment, that second that they realize that they've lost that ability to perpetrate this fantasy on you, everything changes. I mean, it'll happen in the middle of the day. I normally say overnight, but it literally can happen, 3:27 in the afternoon, bam, you finally have an epiphany. Maybe you don't even really have a full epiphany, but you say something or you do something to where they have the epiphany, like, oh my God, I've lost this person. They see through the mask, it's over, and they go into complete combat mode. Maybe that hasn't happened with this person. Again, the relationship is not a solid, positive relationship. Whoops, I think I went too far. So here's the thing, okay? One, every one of you has to stop comparing your life to the other person. The next thing, I should have made better notes on this, but the next thing is you have to find a way to make peace with just yourself. Now that's going to be easier. Okay. I'm kind of an antisocial, what's the word I'm looking for? Introvert. I'm an introvert. That's what I'm trying to say. So antisocial, maybe not the right way to say it, but I don't necessarily like being around people a lot. It's incredibly emotionally draining for me most of the time. So like during the pandemic, to be perfectly honest, I didn't I didn't mind it. It took me a lot longer to get to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm tired of being in my house and I'm tired of not being able to go anywhere. Like even to dinner or, whatever. That was that. But that took me months to get into it. So other people were like, oh my God, this is driving me crazy. It took me a longer time to get to that point. And to be perfectly honest, when they opened up the mountains and I was able to just go drive around in the mountains in the desert by myself, that wasn't too bad. Okay. However, roll that clock back. When I was in my relationship, the idea of doing stuff by myself freaked me out. If the ex went someplace like every year, almost every year, she would take the kids and go back to visit her family for weeks, sometimes a month. And, like the first week, amazing. And then it quickly went downhill from there, and it got to the point where I started feeling lonely and I started feeling just out of sorts. When the relationship fell apart, moved out, and, boom, the disconnection with her was completely severed in an instant, like I was just talking about. It was tough. And doing stuff like going out to dinner by myself into a restaurant, not through a drive-through, freaked me out. Going to a coffee shop, grabbing a coffee, sitting down by myself felt weird. It felt like everybody was looking at me. It felt like, wow, what's wrong with this guy? And I slowly made my peace with that. I worked on that. And I got to the point where I'm like, hey, you know what? Things aren't so bad. I'm trying to remember there was a book I was reading, and it might be the one that's on my website, the Rebuilding When Your Relationship Ends. Great workbook, by the way. Definitely encourage anybody who hasn't looked at that to look at that. You can find that at my website. Just go to dadsurvivingdivorce.com/resources, or just go to the main website, look for resources at the top, click it, and scroll down, and you'll see different recommendations that helped me, that had an impact on my life, that I share with you, that hopefully will have a positive impact on yours. But the thing is when you get to the point that you're okay with yourself, and right now Chris isn't. Right now Chris is feeling lonely. He's feeling like he's a failure. He's feeling that the success of his ex and this new relationship and all the fake crap that he's seeing on on Facebook and such is driving home the point that his life isn't measuring up. Guys, keep in mind that everything on social media, for the most part, is a curated image of someone's life. It's not the real picture. Just keep that in mind. This isn't, people generally aren't showing the bad parts unless they're trying to get sympathy. And there are people who do that as well, who, whenever things are going badly, they try to throw that all on social media to garner sympathy points. But my point is this: when you get to the point that you're okay with yourself, when you're like, you know what? I like me as a person. I like being around myself as a person. It's not a big deal. I'm not sitting, I feel comfortable. It is a game changer in your life. And it's like the first step to taking everything back. Because when you do that, the rambling emotion, not rambling, the ruminating that this person's doing, and that I even did, it goes away because you're not comparing anymore, because you're like, hey, you know what? I'm glad I'm breathing today. And it's not hard to say, but it's one of those things that's kind of bizarre, and maybe some people who have never been through this will never understand it. But getting to the point where you're like, wow, it's nice that I can open up the door, look outside and see the sun and the green. Not that there's a lot of green where I'm at, but you know what I'm saying? There's something you can look at it and just kind of go, wow, I'm glad I'm breathing today. That's very profound. The other part about that, like I was saying, is then it starts to create better boundaries in yourself, because when you're looking at other people and you're okay with yourself, if you're looking at someone else and you're like, I'm not really a big fan of this person. I don't like the drama associated with them. I don't like the, maybe the snarky comments they make towards you or towards other people. Or it's just one of those things where you're like, yeah, this relationship, friendship, whatever the heck it is not it's not a positive experience. And it makes it so much easier to say, I don't need this in my life. When you are lonely, when you are getting external validation from other people or other things, then what happens is you start making compromise, and it's like, well, I don't like really being around this person, but I like being by myself less. So I'm going to go ahead and accept this inappropriate or behavior. Let's not say it's inappropriate. Let's say I'm going to accept these interactions that I don't really feel comfortable with because I don't need this experience to outweigh just being alone. It's a game changer when you get to that point. It transforms your life, and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. I did the therapy thing. I did that workbook, the rebuilding when your relationship ends thing. I did a ton of research. I even did some information on like dating coachy type stuff, where I was reading it and it was talking about not your presence, your I'll just say presence, what you're putting out there. And that as you start to increase, and this is also was talked about in that rebuilding book, as you start to grow, I'll say it that way, right? Or in the building blocks thing, as you start to build your blocks up, you start to raise your, I guess some people call it vibration, but you start kind of raising your level, right? And as that happens, just naturally, people at lower levels, you start shedding because you don't want that in your life. And as you continue to actually, you know what? All this is coming from that book. Because I remember towards the end, it's like, hey, once you get to the top, it's like, you know what? You might not find the person for you. And once you've achieved all these steps, that's okay, because you value your peace. You value what you're accomplishing more than needing someone there. And Chris, I mean, if we go back to, let me scroll back here, you know, on your first thing, you know, I've improved my work and got into a new career and increased my pay by a lot, and I live on my own. I mean, I know, I understand that you're still connecting or still attaching to the fact that you want the family, you want the friend, you want all of that extra stuff. But dude, you are in a lot of ways are winning right now. What you have to do now is you have to do that building block thing and really increase where your life is. And it's gonna, I mean, it's not easy, you know. I mean, don't get me wrong, okay? I don't want to sit here and say, you know, oh, this is so simple. Just, you know, you do a couple of these things, read this book, do this mantra, listen to this hypnosis file one time, and, you know, in a week, your life's going to be better. No, this takes work. And the darkest days I ever had is what this person is talking about. That's where I was spiraling out of control, feeling like I wasn't going to ever get to the other side of this, that it was going to be horrible, and it hurt. It hurt a lot. So my message to you is don't give up. You know, keep persevering. You're on the right track. You probably need some more work. I mean, I don't necessarily push my coaching, but, you know, maybe Chris, especially since you're, you know, financially probably doing a little bit better, book some time. We can work directly one-on-one on this. But guys, you can get past this, but you have to put in the work to do it. And a lot of people, they don't understand that the emotional work's really hard. See, the problem is like if you broke your arm, you know, blew out your back, you know, whatever, and you have surgery, and then, you know, you have the injury, you have, you know, the casting, then you have when they take it off, and then they have the physical therapy, then you have the, you know, the successes and backslides on that until you ultimately achieve, you know, your the success that you're going to achieve. But you have to work at it, right? If on a physical injury, if you do not work that limb or that injury when you're ready to, and you don't push it, you are going to lose mobility, and my understanding is if you don't, you'll stop at a certain level and you won't be able to increase it. Now, the one nice thing about in my opinion, on this emotional stuff is you could stop, not make any progress, and then 6 years later say, okay, this isn't right, and start putting in the work and regain or continue to grow and continue to heal from that. So anyways, Chris, I hope that was helpful. Anyone else who can relate to that, I hope that was helpful for you too. If you know anybody who can use this, please share it with them. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the bell notification, and all that kind of good stuff. Definitely give a thumbs up, leave a comment, do all the things that helps YouTube say, hey, this stuff people like. And on that, I'll chat with you later. Take care. Bye.